Hi guys, this is Kelly. Today I wanted to talk about serendipity. I posted a little bit about it on my blog, and it came up because the other day when I was at work in my barber salon, one of my clients and I were talking about, this blog and what I want to do with it and what I wanted it to be about, because I'm still kind of figuring things out, trying to figure out where I want to go, what I want to do with this in the future. So one of the things that we ended up touching on was serendipity and kind of how I even got to where I am at this moment. And it just really made me think about the serendipitous moments in my life, and I really believe in it. Serendipity is defined as the occurrence and development of events by chance in a happy and beneficial way. So to me, put simply, serendipity is when good shit happens. You weren't even expecting it, but it works out perfectly. And I've totally had situations like that in my life. So one of the first ones was I had just moved back from Northern Ontario. Me and my ex had just separated. I had my two boys. They were 5 years old and 9 months by the time I got here. I had no job. I think I was on social assistance, and they weren't even really giving me much help because I stayed with my parents. And so applying for jobs, there's not a lot available. When you have two little kids, you need daycare. To be able to afford daycare, you need to have a job. And so, there was a catch-22 that was happening right there. I ended up finding a place that was okay. I mean, it was across town, and luckily the hours that they gave me were kind of off traffic hours. So I started at 10. Sometimes I was done at, 7 or 8. So I was making okay money, but not even really enough to, cover the cost of daycare. But for me, it was okay because I was finally just making some kind of money, period. I remember one night, I was talking to my dad about all this stuff in his kitchen, and he, being a dad, he always wants to make sure that everything is going well for me, and that I'm on the right path and all that kind of stuff. And he knew that me traveling across town was just kind of just a waste of time, not making enough money to cover the bills that I needed to, so we will look somewhere else. And he told me, you know what, Kelly, get off your ass. Go door to door. Go out there, try and find a job. Don't look on the internet. Don't look, don't use the internet at all. You're not going to find a job there. You have to get out there to people. And so me being me, I didn't listen. I went straight upstairs. I was kind of miffed at my dad because he's very direct, and sometimes it's kind of a hard pill to swallow, but I knew he was right. But I went up to my room anyways, and I started searching online, and lo and behold, I found a job advertisement on the job bank, somewhere that I would never normally look. And I think in that moment I was almost looking for anything possible, anything that was going to make me more than what I was making right now. And so I just remember thinking, like, the job ad said that they needed a barber. The barber was going to make a certain amount of money per week, which was more than what I was making every 2 weeks at the job across town. It was maybe 10 minutes away from my house, which was awesome. The hours that he wanted me to work were from Tuesday to Saturday, from 8:30 to 5:30. That, to me, in the hairdressing world, or the hair world in general, is as close to a 9 to 5 Monday to Friday as you can kind of get at this point. So I went up there. Then the very next day I walked in there, my resume, my hair's done, my clothes are on point, everything. Walked in there, and the first thing he noticed was that I was from Timmins, which was his stomping grounds. That's where he grew up. And so that was awesome. The serendipitous part of this for me was, had I not necessarily been given that push to go again and look for a job, which I would have just settled in the place that I was with the first job. If he hadn't given me the push to go and search for this job, there's no way that I would have gone online again to go apply for this job working for Lester. And it was perfect because the job, I mean, I already knew how to do straight blade shapes. I already knew how to do flat tops. I already knew how to do, tapers, even more so than what hairdressers are normally taught. So it worked out perfectly that everything that he needed needed in a barber, I already knew how to do it. He didn't have to train me to do it. So that was perfect. After that, I ended up working for him for 2.5 years. It was fabulous. Within 3-4 months of working for him, I was able to move out of my parents' place and rent my own place, and it was awesome. Support myself, support my kids. It was great. And honestly, that serendipitous moment led me to a whole bunch of other moments and led me to where I am at this very moment. The next big one that I can kind of think of off the top of my head was there had been a fire at Lester's, and Lester's was now torn down, and so I was no longer working for him. I had to try and figure out what the heck I was going to do next. And the fire and it being torn down and all that stuff happened within 2 weeks to a month or so of me kind of starting on the path I am. So in March of 2011, fire happened. At first I was like, you know what, this is just time off for me. I can kind of figure out what I want to do. Do I want to get into another field? Do I want to stick with barbering? You know, and go from there. I ended up just kind of looking online, just trying to see, you know, okay, what can I get into? The other stuff wasn't really it wasn't really appealing to me, and I knew I always kind of wanted to be in the hair industry anyways, so I decided that I would just start looking. He wasn't 100% sure if he was going to continue on in barbering, if he was going to like find a new place, or if he was going to just quit altogether. He'd been doing this for 40 something years, so he's getting pretty tired. At 40 years of being in an industry, you do get ready to retire at some point. So again, looking online, I just decided I was going to see what was out there, see if there's any spaces. And my thought in my mind was, if there was any spaces, I was going to offer them to him, because I mean, if he wanted to open, I didn't want to step on his toes. If he was going to open again, how about I can try and see if I can find some spaces that are good, you know, that we can all fit in. It was him, his wife, and I who were in the shop, so you know, how can we restart? And if he wasn't going to start again, then maybe this is a way that I can open up on my own. And so I ended up finding a place. It was literally 5 minutes down the road. The rent was super cheap. It was a small space. I mean, it was reasonable for what the space was, but the best part was that the clients wouldn't have to adjust too much to where the new shop was. For me, the awesome part was that that people already knew who I was from working at a shop, so it's not like I would really have to go and work hard to get people, because they were looking for us. There was a vacuum that was created when we were gone. The serendipitous part of that, I think, was just sitting there wondering, what the heck am I going to do? What am I going to do next? And then deciding kind of on a whim, am I going to do something else, or am I going to stick with what I've been doing because this is what I love and I'm good at it? And again, had I not looked on the internet to see what spaces were available, I wouldn't have found the place that I ended up renting. Again, it was very cheap. Parking was included. He didn't care about first and last month's rent. It didn't have to be, you didn't have to sign a long-term lease. It could be short-term, long-term, month-to-month, whatever. He didn't care. So, I mean, that was a lucky break for somebody like me who wanted to start out on their own and not have to like break the bank or jump too far into it and then run the risk of crashing and burning. So it was a really great way for me to start out. So I was there for about 6 months, and the plan with me being over there was literally to still be able to go back to our home turf and to where our clients really were. Where this spot was just a slightly outside of there. And so I wanted to just make sure I was back where our home base was. So I ended up just, you know, trying again to keep an eye on what was going on in the neighborhood, if there's any posts that were up, if there's any spaces that were available. And I remember in my mind, I just kept thinking about this one space that I kept seeing, and I was like, oh, I wonder what they're doing with it. I knew it used to be a business, but there was nothing going on in there anymore. There was no signs up, no nothing, and I just kept wondering, like, what are you going to do with it? That would be a great spot if it was available. I wish I knew what was going on. One day coming home from the small first space that I rented, I decided, you know what, I'm not going to go the way home that I normally go, which would cut around the old neighborhood. I'm going to go right through the new neighborhood and see if anything's changed since I've been there. Well, lo and behold, that day, I went by that exact location that I had been looking at and or wondering about, and when I went by, there was a front sign in the window. It was the very first time there was a front sign in the window. I think it had gone up literally the day before, and I did a U-turn. So quick I did a U-turn, and I wrote the phone number down. As soon as I got home, I called my dad. I'm like, hey, listen, there's a spot. It's back on Beechwood. It's just down the street from where we are. It's right on the main road, so we have good visibility. We need to check this out. We were there within a couple of days, and within a month of finding that place, I had already moved back to, I had moved into that space from the original small space I was at. So 6 months at the first location, and then I was in the second location, which was on Beechwood. After that, you know, I just kind of went through business life as it is, and eventually it was I was told that the new owners, our building had been sold. Our new owners were looking at tearing my building down and the neighbors, which they had bought as well, and they wanted to rebuild. They told me it was going to be 6 months to do the whole process, which for me, I mean, if you've ever watched any buildings go up or any demolition processes or whatever, any redevelopment, 6 months is not reasonable, and I knew it was going to take a whole lot longer than that. So I just decided that, you know what, I'm going to keep my eye out. I'm going to keep my eye out and see whatever I can find. I wasn't excited about it. I love the space that I was in. We had just grown from just having the main floor to also adding ladies services up on the second floor. So my business was doing really well. And I had just signed the extension, or I had the option of signing an extension for another 3 years. And they're now offering me, well, we can only give you 18 months out of the 3 years. And I'm a little stressed out because I have to go find a new location. I've got 18 months to find this new location based on what the landlords have said their plan is. And about a year after we signed the extension that I had, this extension, like I said, was supposed to be 3 years, but because of their plan and because of one little clause in the lease, it said that basically, or what it meant is that basically I had to take their 18 months, or they could just say no to me extending the lease. So I had to do a little soul searching. So my plan was just take the 18 months, take the time to search for your next location. It's better than having no location 6 months from now. So I ended up just trying to keep an eye on what was going on in the neighborhood. There wasn't a lot of spaces available, and the ones that were coming available were very expensive. They're brand new buildings that were coming up because of the fire, and another property owner had been sold after so many years. And so another developer was going to come in, tear theirs down, and start all over. I knew those places I could not afford to be in, not anytime soon, so I have to kind of scratch those off the list. But when those are the only spots that kind of coming up available in the area, it makes it a little scary. So fast forward a few months, probably 6 or so months later, I'm laying on my couch at home just trying to figure out, like I was bored, trying to figure out, and the thought popped in my mind, how about just look on Kijiji, see what spaces are available. And so just sitting there, and I decided to scroll through commercial spaces available in the area that I am. And lo and behold, this spot comes up, and it was posted that very same day saying that there was almost 1,400 square foot unit on literally the street around the corner from me. When you Google how close this is, it was 210 meters from door to door, from the Beechwood location to the Marriott location that I'm in right now. To me, that was amazing, because just like the second location that I ended up in, I remember driving down that street and being like, I wonder what they're doing there. It's always kind of papered up. It doesn't look like anything's going on in there. I wonder what they're going to do with it. It would be a great space. The windows are great. I wonder. And then lo and behold, what shows up on Kijiji, ready for the taking. I literally texted my dad. Again, I do everything with my dad. Texted my dad, and I sent him the link, and he's like, okay, call them. Let's go check it out. We were there the very next day to check it out. And maybe 2 months later, I had signed the lease, and the space was mine. And this is the space that I'm in now. I've luckily signed a 10-year lease, so thank God I don't have to look for anything anytime soon. But those have been some of the serendipitous moments in my life, and this is where it's brought me to now. I took the leap, with all of these things, just because I knew if I didn't, I would probably regret it. These are things that could help my business grow and help me get to the next level. When you have such awesome opportunities dangling right in front of your face, and to me it seemed awfully stupid not to at least try. Something I'd been told a long time ago is sometimes you gotta walk through the door, and if it slams on the other side, it slams in your face, then whatever, at least you took the chance to see what was gonna happen. You took the step. And that's better than doing nothing at all, because then you're always going to wonder, where you could have been and what you could have done. So now that you guys have heard my story, I'd love to know what serendipitous moments you guys have had in your life. Mine was a bit of a long one, but it outlines 3 or 4 of some of the life-changing moments that have happened for me along my journey. And I'd love to hear more about yours. Thanks, guys.